March Madness 2021, very exciting. I remember, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I always thought it would be a business that was completely independent from everything else, but then last year that changed. Everything got shut down, including sports games, which has never happened before. And now we're here again having a tournament that we didn't have last year for the first time in how long?
I got butterflies. Ted, my balls are tingling with excitement over here.
Guys, welcome back, March Madness. I got Darren Dimes, one of my favorite non-sports profits guys in the entire business, if not my favorite non-sports profits.
Thanks, Ted.
Guy in the entire business.
Appreciate
and I got
that.
Billy the Beard, who's obviously part of the team.
Billy's beard.
So, what we're going to do for this little show, whatever you want to call it, is we're going to break down the entire tournament. We're going to go through the West, the East, the South, and the Midwest. We're going to talk about the opening games, but we're going to also talk about what we think some of these teams can maybe do down the line, who maybe might be a bust out, who might be a sleeper. We're going to give you some interesting, cool statistics. Billy's got we got a special 5 tips we're going to give you guys for free when selecting your bracket and betting on the March Madness tournament. And we're just going to go through it bracket by bracket. Before we start, is there anything you guys want to say?
Guys, don't judge me by my lack of facial hair sitting amongst these two. I look like a woman next to these guys. Look at these masculine beards.
What do they call those cats that are like bald? That's what you are.
Sphinx?
You're a Sphinx cat among regular cats. Among lions with manes. Except for I have no hair on my head, so.
This is true.
But Billy the Beard's got both. He's got the double.
Yeah, but Ted, bald everywhere but the chin. Actually, very hairy. You're a hairy guy, actually.
I can't keep. You got the diamond on your tooth. I don't know. No way. Listen, guys, just so you understand, we do this for a living. So before we get into this, I just want you to understand, we don't do anything else. We don't have other jobs. We bet on sports to make our income, and we've been doing it for a long time. I've known both of these guys for over a decade, and it's amazing to be able to do what you love and to be able to make a living doing it. I'm not saying that everybody can do that. I'm not telling everybody out there to quit their jobs and bet on sports, but you can make a nice little side gig out of it if you do it the right way. And I'm going to put the link. I'm sure Darren doesn't do the YouTube thing right now, but I'm sure he's going to put this on his Instagram. And I'm going to put the link in our YouTube for Darren also, if you want to check him out. He has a little bit of a different thing than we do. Just sends out the plays every day, not the texting and everything. So if you just want a lot of plays and you're playing smaller and you don't want to spend the big sports profits prices, check out Darren for sure.
Thank you, Teddy. Appreciate that.
Best in the business for the low prices, in my opinion.
That's what they say. And I'll tell you right now, it's not even my best sport, but no one is touching me on golf. I'm just putting that out there.
I might have to take a look.
I call Darren every week when it's time to make golf selections because he's been on fire with it. And on top of that, you're going to throw in something. No one's going to touch me. I'm going to throw in no one's going to touch me. I enter into this March Madness tournament putting together one of my best college basketball seasons ever. So I don't know. I'm kind of scared. Part of me is like, wow, I'm doing so well this regular season. The tournament, the matchups, are they going to toughen up? Am I going to crash and burn? I don't think so. I think I'm going to dive right into it. All right, let's go. Let's start with the West. And basically, we're just going to break down every game. We're going to talk about the schools. And if we don't think the school has a chance of making it out of the first round, we're probably not going to say much about them. So we start in the West with the coveted Gonzaga team. Guys, I mean, I don't see one expert. I do see experts not picking Gonzaga to win it all, but the majority of the experts are picking Gonzaga to win it all. I'm looking for reasons why they won't. I mean, obviously their first game, we're not even looking at it. We're not touching that game as a bet, but they're going to keep going. So what do you guys think about Gonzaga?
I mean, they have 3 NBA ready players already. Kispert is their leading scorer, which, he might be the 3rd best prospect. Suggs it might go 1 overall in the draft. You know, Jalen Suggs.
Darren Dimes is great with players. So obviously, I don't know how many of you guys do the daily fantasy, but if you're ever looking for daily fantasy, we have guys that come to us for daily fantasy. We don't even talk to them about a package. I send them directly to Darren.
Love the fantasy. Love it all.
Darren, and on top of the play, they have 3 amazing players. They have 2 lottery picks.
Yeah. Drew Timmy is
number 1
solid,
offensive efficiency in the country. Number 10 in defensive efficiency in the country. So, I mean, they're going to go deep. Will they go all the way? We'll talk about who else is in this bracket. So we come up to the next game. We're talking about Iowa playing up against Grand Canyon. I love Iowa. I mean, I like what Grand Canyon's been doing. I like the fact when you look at Grand Canyon and you look at Iowa, Grand Canyon is coming. And here's my thing. I try not to overrate these conference tournaments. So I'm in love with all the players, all the teams coming out of the conference tournaments. I'm sure you can understand, Darren. So I look at Grand Canyon. I look what they did. Not supposed to win that tournament, and they did. But then I look at Iowa, and one thing I'll say about Iowa is this for a number 2 seed. They don't have that top 25 defense that a number 2 seed should have that's going to take you deep into the tournament.
True.
And this isn't in my notes. It was just something that was in my head, and I wanted to mention it. They don't have it, and for this reason, you know, they're probably going to cover in this first game, but I don't know how far Iowa goes. What do you think about this game, and what do you think about Iowa, Darren?
You know, Jack Nunge got hurt. Definitely, you know, that's a depth issue for them. Luka Garza is amazing though. He's going to be top 5 pick, I would think.
He's a stud.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's going to be tough to stop. Grand Canyon doesn't have anyone that's going to be able to contain him. I mean, you got to go Iowa in this game, but you know, they're a 2 seed, but are they even a top 3 team in their own conference? You know, no, he's such a stat.
I don't even know if there are 2 in the bracket. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
I agree.
I look at Kansas as the 3, and if it weren't for the COVID situation, I would love Kansas. The COVID. If it weren't for the COVID situation, I'd love Kansas, but I guess I only like them. Kansas is 11-4 in their last 15 tournament games. They've made the Elite 8 3 of the last 4 tournaments, and just in this year, in the last 9 games they've played, they're 7-2 against the spread. They're going up against Eastern Washington. Eastern Washington, couple tidbits about them: 6th in free throws in the entire country. Pretty interesting for a 14 seed, and 8-2 against the spread in the last 10.
Yeah, obviously free throws isn't really something that's, you know, doesn't matter what conference you're in, you know, necessarily. Like you practice shooting from the line, you know, the line's the same line from
because it's the player against the bucket. Exactly. Yeah. So free throws translate. So that's why I mentioned that. That's the
rims in certain arenas though make it an issue though. Did you notice? Interesting. Interesting stat here. The Big Ten tournament was in Indianapolis. The rims there, if you look at the 3-point shooting percentage numbers, the first 3 rounds of the conference tournament, they were so much lower than average. Like Iowa shot 2 of 21.
So you're saying they're tougher rims?
Apparently, yeah.
But does that doesn't translate to conferences or?
No, it's I guess whatever arena it's in though.
Well, the whole thing's in Indianapolis this year, right? Because of COVID, they're keeping the whole tournament in one area.
I believe so.
Yeah.
So, but that's just interesting.
Do they have regulation rims throughout the tournament?
You would think. You would think, but
everything's regulation in these sports. How are the rims not regulation?
But if they're tight, the rim is tightened. You know what I mean? And the ball just.
So they're doctoring the rims now.
Maybe
they're fixing the rims they fix everything else.
And you guys buying into the magnet theory?
Oh well, that's all. Oh, we're gonna get totally off topic if you bring that stuff up, Billy. Because I
only have about an hour, Billy, not 5.
Bill, we're gonna have to do a separate podcast for that.
All we would need to do to really get full. Your phone there to get full. You could go 90% if you could just find the guy who controls the magnets. Nowhere. I'm just kidding. People think we're crazy. You got to be careful. There's people watching that think we're crazy.
Hey,
You know,
It's a fine line. It's a fine line.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the thing with Kansas, I love them, but they have COVID problems. Now, here's the thing. I spoke to Darren before this podcast about Kansas to see if he heard any updates. I heard that Jalen Wilson is not going to be playing in this game.
Oh, they said he might not.
That's what I read.
But McCormick will?
I read that McCormick, it said nothing about McCormick, so I'm actually using your information, Darren, that McCormick will.
Yeah, I mean, the Bill Self, he said yesterday that McCormick passed 7 days of testing. So he should be eligible to play. He didn't confirm that he will play, but he said, as of now, he should play.
We'll see what happens. Now we move into the next game, number 4 seed Iowa versus number 13.
No, wait.
Number 4 seed Virginia, I'm sorry, versus, I'm out of it, guys, sorry. Versus number 13, Ohio.
That alcohol's catching up
Hey,
to Teddy over here. Huh?
Ohio. That's a rare bottle there. St. Patrick's Day, by the way. Your guys are going to see this on the 18th. But wait. Yeah, they're going to see it on the 18th, but we're recording on the 17th. So here's the thing.
I'm not wearing green.
None of us are.
Good.
Virginia is going into a game with COVID situation also against an Ohio team who are spread killers, 10-2 against the spread in their last 12 games. Virginia's very good also, but just an interesting tidbit there. What do you got to say about that?
I mean, so far I'm sticking with Virginia in this spot right here. Not much to say. Just kind of just the first rounds. To be honest, I was looking at some stats here, Ted. The first round, there's been 6.1 upsets in the history of the game. I actually got 8 of them on my bracket here, so I went a little bit overboard with the first round upsets. And I'm kind of,
Do you have any first round upsets, Billy, in this West bracket?
In the West, no, I have nothing upsetting right now.
I'm going to just mention upsets for a second here. We'll get into it more. Darren loves the 11s.
I love
I love
everybody
the 12s.
says 12s beat 5s. That's the one you look at. I like the 11s over the 6s this time.
I'm on the 12 train, on 2 specifically. Anything else, Darren, anything to say about Virginia? These two COVID, Virginia and Kansas, they just make me a little nervous. Virginia's obviously the defending national champion.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
2 years.
And listen, Virginia, 10-3 in the last 13 tournament games, 1-5 against the spread, however, in their last 6 games this year.
I like Ohio. Look, the line opened at 10.5. Now it's down to 7.5, 8. I mean, a lot of early money on Ohio.
Now, remember, for everybody watching this, there's 2 things. There's the bracket, and there's betting the game straight up.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
kind of make sure you're paying attention. He just said he likes Ohio, but he means against the spread. I mean, it's still a 8-point spread. Virginia's most likely going to win the game. I think that these are all leans, by the way. These are none of our official selections, but I'm with you. With that type of line movement, with the issues with Virginia, I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio covered that spread. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, Virginia, Tony Bennett, the coach, what did he say? They didn't practice until today. They haven't practiced in a week. I think they're just getting to their 7 days of negative testing. So
exactly, they went out like a day or 2 after Kansas did.
Said they're flying to Indianapolis on Friday.
Yeah, right. So just be careful with that team and just be careful with that game overall. But Ohio's a good value play there. Let's move on to this Creighton game. This is a beautiful upset game if you want to play a 12 versus 5, in my opinion. I love it. Creighton is 22-4 in their. I'm sorry, Creighton, Santa Barbara is 22-4. Creighton is 0-3 in their last 3.
Like 28-4.
Is it 28-4? Yeah. Well, I'm talking about their last 26 games, but it could be.
Yeah.
But
22-4. Yeah, you're right.
So you got to understand something. Creighton is not playing like they're just not playing like a 5 seed, in my opinion. Santa Barbara's a good team. I had some bets on Santa Barbara. We actually gave out Santa Barbara as a free game, and It might have been one of the times they actually lost. But
I saw you give out. You were all over that conference because you love giving out the West Coast stuff,
I like to give out late
stuff,
games because
and they played like Hawaii or like Cal Baptist and like Irvine and those other teams. All their whole they didn't go outside their conference really at all.
exactly. I really did pay a lot of attention to that conference this year because I give out a lot of free games for a lot of late games for my free games, so I know that conference well, and I love Santa Barbara in this game because of it. Anything to say, guys, about it?
I mean, Creighton looked off. What they scored 48 points
Against Georgetown. Right? Yeah, they look terrible.
I mean, the odds of them scoring 48 again, very unlikely. I expected a higher scoring game. I was a little surprised by
I think Creighton made Georgetown look way better than they really are.
I agree. And I thought the total for this game was a little low. It was in the 130s. I expected higher. I mean, Creighton's gonna have the best player on the floor, Zagorowski. He's probably going to the NBA.
So we got USC in the 6th seed, unknown opponent in the 11th. So we're just gonna lay off this game.
Tell you, be careful those 11s, baby.
All I'm gonna say, USC to go with my boy Darren's 11 theory. USC's 2-6 against the spread in their last 8, and they've out of the last 7 first games of the tournament, first round games, they've lost 4 out of those 7 first rounders. So they haven't been faring well in the first rounders. So let's move on. Oregon versus VCU. VCU is a team that just lost to St. Bonnie, who we gave as one of our biggest tickets of the year.
I hate you. I was on the other side.
Really?
Freak yourself. Yeah.
Oh man.
I took the
See,
points.
guys, we don't like collude, and we just kind of do our own thing. We obviously discuss and collaborate, but sometimes we are on.
Usually after the fact.
Sometimes we are on other things.
Yeah, like I find out he's on the opposite side after, and I'm like, oh.
Because I always release later than Darren does. So Oregon, they've made the Sweet 16 3 years in a row, 9-3 in their last 12 tournament games, and 5-1 against the spread. If they move on here, they're set to face Iowa. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. For those of you who are looking to get some information from this for your bracket, I look to see Oregon go on and beat Iowa.
I have that there too.
There we go. Billy the Beard. I didn't steal it from Billy either. No.
And then earlier I missed it out when we were talking about USC. I didn't even notice you talked all those bad stats against the spread with USC. I actually have the 11 seed. That's the upset that I picked in the West right there.
So Billy's basically saying he don't even care who it is. He's picking the 11 seed, whoever fills that game.
For the record, I have Drake winning the game.
He I'm telling you, I'm on Wichita.
So I'm
Wichita.
not. I have no discussions of those games
now.
because I'm giving my own little special thing for tomorrow. But Darren likes Wichita.
Yeah.
And Billy likes Drake. But
Wichita State.
I think both guys are agreeing that whoever fills that role can beat USC in that game.
I have USC losing.
Now,
also.
as far as VCU goes, the only real thing I can say about them at the moment is they got a top 20 defense, but it didn't really do much against St. Bonnie. That was our big game. Mm-hmm. It was a done deal. Last game, anything else to say?
Just say, they lost to the Bonnies because Bones Highland was in foul trouble early. He wasn't in most of the first half.
You're saying that because you had VCU.
No. It was still only like a 5-point game at half. I'm just saying.
I think it was 8.
Was it?
I think it was 8 at half because I was very confident.
Yeah. Well, anywho, I lost with VCU, but the point is, he will not be the best player on the, in that conference, he's used to being the best player on the floor this year. The Atlantic 10. This year, this game, he will not be. Oregon, Duarte, they got Umenyori. They have multiple people that are better than him. So they have good D also. Figueroa can drain threes.
It's going to be a tough matchup.
It's definitely a tough matchup. Really tough draw for VCU.
Missouri, Oklahoma last game. 2 teams that are solid, but lately not very good.
Well, Oklahoma, they lose 5 of the last 6 against really,
and
all top
7 against the spread in the last 7.
Tough competition though. Oklahoma State twice back to back. One of the games they blew a lead and lost in overtime.
Missouri and Oklahoma combined are 4-11 in the last 15 games.
Yeah.
Missouri's 2-7 against the spread in the last 9, and listen to this: Missouri in their last 6 tournament matchups are 1-5. Oklahoma 1-3 in their last 4. I just think Oklahoma's the better team here.
I think Oklahoma's the better team, but I think Missouri has the better pieces individually. It's Jeremiah Tillman, Drew Smith, Pinson, but they've underperformed this year.
Give you guys a couple little interesting tidbits from this bracket. The highest scoring team in the tournament is in this bracket, Gonzaga. They're also the fastest team, 74.8 possessions per game. Virginia's the slowest team. But USC is the tallest team.
Don't be fooled though. Virginia, they're the slowest team, but they are ranked very high in their shooting percerages.
Yeah. Let's move on.
They play slow.
Let's move on to the next bracket. So guys, I hope you got something from that. Hope you're still listening and still watching.
They're
Wake
sleeping.
up.
They're
Let's
sleeping
go.
on us.
Guys, a lot of people are, I'm just going to throw this out there, and I don't want to insult. A lot of people want instant stuff.
Gratification. They want the instant gratification.
We're trying to teach you how we sit here. This is what we do, even when the mics aren't here, and we sit around and we talk about these games, and it helps us get to our conclusions.
Absolutely.
The combination of the minds. We want to give you guys a little insight on what we do, because that combination of the minds is what helps bring you. So now you're paying, and you have all these minds working for you, like we're sitting here working right now, but all the time, and a bunch more people that aren't going to be getting on camera that you don't see. Let's head to the East. Number 1 seed, Michigan. I don't like Michigan.
No, I mean, Isaiah, Livers is not going to play, I assume. Foot injury.
They're gonna win. They're gonna win their first game.
I would hope so.
I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna go against them first game, but I don't see them going very far.
No, me neither. I don't have them going far. You got to think the 2 Alabama or the 3 Texas is going to be
Alabama's my team out of here. I'll just put it out there now. You can write it down, guys that want to track me. Alabama's my team out of here. I love Alabama. I love them. I mean, obviously, it was scary, that game. They almost blew it.
Yes, they did.
And then they came back and they ran away a little bit, But Iona's not going to give them a problem, and they're going to go far, I think. I really do.
I have them get into the round of 8 here.
NBA defense. Can't argue with that. They shoot threes. They're fast.
Yeah.
And they have
Herb Jones.
And they're not like a prima donna team. They're not like one of these teams that have been doing this every year. They kind of had a fight. They kind of had a grind to get here, and I think they're going to take that grind and take that fight into the tournament.
I think the whole SEC as a whole is better this year. College basketball.
It's so crazy you say that, because about halfway through the season, I'm sitting here, I'm looking, doing some work, and I look up to one of my guys. I say, "What the hell happened to the SEC? They're a basketball conference all of a sudden."
The ACC is taking a little step back. And the SEC has kind of filled the role.
Wow. Interesting stuff. But yeah, so, I mean, it's a big spread, but I think they cover. I don't see an issue there.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch that, but yeah, I said Iona, they lost. They didn't play anyone tough really this year. They lost by 20 to Seton Hall. Bama is leagues better than Seton Hall, so
we move into Texas next versus Abilene Christian.
My boys. Hook 'em horns. Hook 'em.
As you guys know, did you have Texas in that game?
Damn right. You're damn right I did.
Well, you guys know I did. I got pretty wild after they won, because I was very proud that I predicted them as Big 12 champions. And cool thing, Darren had them too. I didn't even know that. That makes me even more happy. I mean, you got Jericho Sims over there. He's
what a beast.
NBA talent at the top of the top.
Now, you saw he just gained all that weight this year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's a senior.
He's moving. You don't see many. It's great to see these seniors that just become great. Mm-hmm. But besides that, I mean, Abilene Christian, they're an interesting school. What do you have to say about Abilene?
I've never even heard of them, to be honest. My bracket has Texas here.
They won their conference tournament. The spread's 9. I mean, if the spread was a little bigger, I might run with them.
I would assume they cover the spread, because that is such a low spread.
I think it's a trapper. Trapperoni.
Absolute trapper keeper. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, well, I mean, listen, I can see that.
I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to.
Plus, Texas hasn't been demolishing teams. They've been kind of squeaky.
Not at all.
Texas has that grit where they squeak it out at the end.
But they're really, I mean, you look at that last game. I mean, Coleman, 31 points. He was shooting lights out. I think they're playing to their potential now.
This next game, I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Wouldn't touch it with I can't say that. They might cancel our podcast.
I like the next game. I already have a play on it.
Really?
Yeah.
So here's my theory on the next game. Colorado's 0-4 in their last four.
I think you're skipping one.
Well, his order's a little different.
Oh,
how could it be
good.
different?
3, 4, 5.
My bad. We're skipping one. Go to the next one.
Talking the 4 seed FSU.
So Colorado's 5?
5, yeah.
Wow, how did I get screwed up here? All right, go ahead, man. My bad.
All right, FSU
I completely
is
skipped
the
the game.
4 seed. You against UNC Greensboro.
I think FSU, just going to put this out there, I think they should have been the ACC champion.
What do you mean they should have been?
Georgia Tech won it, didn't they?
Yeah, but what do you mean they should have been? They lost.
I think that they're the better team.
Oh yeah,
out of the two.
absolutely.
Okay, so
You saw how many
what kind of
turnovers?
question is that?
Because you said they should have won, but they had like 24
No,
turnovers.
I'm not saying they should have won that specific game. I'm saying that they,
general.
out of the ACC, they are the best team.
I'm gonna have to agree with you,
Yeah.
Ted. I have them making it all the way to the Final Four here. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
You guys are on your own on that
in the
one.
round of 8.
No, listen. Let me tell you something right now. I can't ever co-sign that prediction because I love Alabama so much. I don't have a problem seeing FSU playing Alabama in the round of 8. I like that.
That's happening.
But I love Alabama. I love them. I love them go. I mean, I'm torn. I haven't made, just so you guys know, I have not made a selection yet. For look, he's going in the story.
Post a little story.
I
while
haven't
we're
made a
talking.
selection yet
Would be it.
for my winner. But originally I was between Gonzaga and Illinois, and I got to say now I'm between Gonzaga and Alabama. So brave concession there.
On the same side.
Well, yeah, but you say FSU beats them.
In the Final Four, you're saying.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I got, just like you said, FSU, much more talented team here. Greensboro did win their tourney as well. What's his name? Capricia? I call him Capricola. Gabagool. Hey,
Darren
Daddy,
Gabagool.
He had a hand injury he was nursing in the final against Georgia Tech. I don't know if you noticed, he had it wrapped up and he kept grimacing. He couldn't even shoot free throws comfortably, and he was trying to block shots, and he kept grabbing his hand. You got to hope that it's healed by tournament time. I mean, he's going to play. He'll be fine. Interesting. Raekwon Gray, power forward for FSU, foul trouble the whole game against G-Tech. That was a big deal. I mean, he barely played the first half, came in the second half, boom, picks up his 4th foul, and he's out. Like, literally could not stay on the floor. That's part of the reason they lost.
Full disclosure, I left this game completely out of my breakdown, guys, so all I have to say about it is I love FSU. It's my favorite ACC team.
This is a game I would lay the points.
So let's just move to the next one because I left this one out of my breakdown, so I don't got too much to
The
say.
Buffs. All right, on to the Buffs.
So this is the game where I said I wouldn't touch. Now, part of the reason why is because I had the free play on the Buffs in their championship game, and obviously that didn't work out. Oregon State took it. But, I mean, you got so much in it. The whole Patrick Ewing thing, and I don't even know what that's all about, but Buffaloes are 0-4 in their last 4 games in the tournament. Georgetown's 2-6 in the last 8 tournament games. Public's on Georgetown because of Ewing. It's just like one of those things. I just wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, Georgetown definitely played out of their asses, in the tournament. They rank with 323rd in turnovers per game. I mean, they're a good rebounding team, decent defensively. They're not normally a offensive team. Colorado, McKinley Wright is going to take a lot of shots. He might score 30. It was surprising actually that they lost to Oregon State in the conference final. They were a team of destiny.
I think that Georgetown's run is over. So I think that Colorado does win this game and takes care of business and covers the spread. They have covered 4 of the last 6 spreads or 5 of the last 7 spreads. So it's not like they're covering spreads. I think the last game might have been a little bit of an anomaly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Creighton, 48 points.
BYU is a 7 seed here in this bracket. They're
6.
I'm sorry. BYU is a 6 seed, and we're going to see who they play.
We don't know yet.
Here's the thing, though. I said 7 seed because I'm reading my notes. They're 7-2 against the spread in their last 9. So Darren loves the 11s.
I love the 11s, you know.
Do you love the 11s here?
Yeah. I don't really care who comes out. Who comes out of the other side of the first 4 game.
Okay. So we don't really know what the game's going to be here. Let's move on.
It's the Michigan State UCLA.
I have State winning that one. Then BYU taking them.
I would think State wins, but honestly, no matter what, I mean BYU is solid, but they're a beatable team. They weren't overly impressive this year, Mountain West and all that, you know.
I have some really interesting notes on this next game for Maryland. 1-3 against the spread. 1-3 in their last 4 tournament games.
I like this next one.
What do you like about it?
I just think it's a close matchup. It's going to be a good game. And I already have a play that I like.
Well, I'm assuming it's Maryland because they just seem to dominate UConn in the last few matches.
You caught me. It is.
4-0 against the spread in their last 4.
Yep, against UConn.
Against UConn, of course. UConn, here's the thing. Maryland has played teams that are very, very good, and they play them well. And you see that, even the close ones. I mean, who did they beat this year? A high-ranked team.
Oh, I mean, well, first of all, as far as tournament teams, I mean, they've beaten Illinois once. They beat Iowa once. They beat Wisconsin.
Michigan
State twice.
Purdue
once. I mean, they've lost to some of the lesser teams in the conference.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the game against Michigan was close.
I believe so.
I think because I'm starting. Guys, you got to remember we bet a lot of games throughout the year, but I'm pretty sure that I bet Maryland against Michigan and they lost, but it was very close. It's funny because you seem to remember your wins more than your losses more. Some people remember their losses better, some people remember their wins better.
Definitely the losses.
Depends how it happens. If it's like a game-winning shot, I'll remember it.
You know that line's at what, like 3 now?
Yeah.
It moved. The public is
like
on
1 the other day. Was it 1.5 the other day?
It opened at 2 from what I saw.
Yeah, I had 2.5 on some books and 3 on others.
UConn is covering a lot of spreads lately, though.
I mean, public is heavy on UConn, moving the line. I didn't lock it in yet. I'm going to wait. Hopefully I get, even better line.
You think that line keeps moving and you just slam Maryland right at the right time?
At this rate, I mean, you saw that Richmond game a little bit ago? I mean, the line went all the way to 5.5 and they won outright. They won by like 10.
Guys, we're going to move on to LSU St. Bonnie next. St. Bonnie was my biggest ticket of 2021. I posted it for everybody to get a chance to play. Of course, Darren here wasn't aware of that. I should have shared with you my biggest ticket of the year, but I didn't.
I would have taken VCU with the points anyway.
So, I mean, St. Bonnie in the tournament, they don't look great. They're 1-6 in their last 7 tourney games. 6-1 against the spread, however, recently. So they're playing good recently. It's just their tournament life isn't very good. LSU 7-4 in the last 11 tournament games. LSU 5-0 against the spread in the last 5.
Yeah, they just looked insanely impressive in the tournament. I mean, they were awful on the road all year pretty much, and They don't even have Shaquille O'Neal's son playing. Sharif.
Public has to be all over LSU.
Let me look. Hold on. Let me look.
Let me know. Check it out for me.
Yeah, I mean, the line moved from 1 to 2. I'm showing 75% of the money distribution on LSU's spread.
75?
Yeah, but total number of bets is less than 50. So,
Interesting stuff.
yeah.
So, guys, this is all stuff that we look into. When you have a service with us, we could look at all these games, look what these teams have done, but there are casinos in Vegas and Reno where there might be some type of money moved late that you don't know about until late. So to really make a proper bet, a proper wager, you need to wait until the day of the game. You need to see what the money's going to do, and then you make your strike. So that's what we do, and that's what goes above this. This is just us preliminary speaking, and then we look later into what's coming in next. I mean, I look at this game, and it's probably the type of game I wouldn't touch. What do you think, Darren?
I'm not going to. I mean, I would expect LSU, to take this one. They're just in such a tougher conference.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they've had the experience. St. Bonaventure.
Yeah.
I mean, who have they really played? That yes, they are their conference winners, but who have they really played?
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team. They're experienced. Kyle Lofton put 23 against VCU. I mean, I believe he leads conference in scoring. But geez, you look at the guys on LSU. I mean, Cameron Thomas didn't even really do anything in the last couple games. I mean, I don't even think he had more than 12 points in either last season. Best player.
Guys, one thing I will say is everyone is very tempted to pick mid-majors over these major conference because it makes you can say, I called it. It's a psychological thing where you feel good if you make a good selection, but sometimes it's just when in doubt, go with the major conference. We're going to be taking a break now. We're going to be going into the next two brackets. Before we get into the next two brackets, Billy's going to be giving us 5 overall tips for how to make your selections for the brackets. So stay tuned for that. All right, guys. So welcome back. We're back here. We're going to do the last two brackets.
It does.
Delve right into it. I love the word delve.
Delve into some pussy.
We're going to do that right there. All right. We're going to delve into the South now, but before we do that, our boy Billy the Beard's going to go over a couple tips here. Now, a couple of these tips have the same common theme, but just a couple easy tips to avoid some temptation. What do you have to say, Billy?
Yeah, so I just got 5 quick tips for everyone making their bracket. The first tip, do not get cute, guys. Do not pick the number 16 seed. I think the whole time this tournament's been around, I believe there's been one upset.
Right.
2018 when Virginia lost. Don't get cute. I know that you want to find the upsets. Do not pick the number 16 to beat a number 1.
And it was such an anomaly that they came back and won the championship the next year. Crazy. They were so pissed.
Just do yourself a favor. Every number 1 makes it out of the first round. Number 2, got to stick with Darren Dimes' formula and make sure that you pick at least one number 12 upset. Looking at the data here, it's 35.7%. The number 12 is beating a 5 overall.
What was that? 35.7?
35.7. A little bit ahead of that, we have the 11s over 6 at 37.1. The 10s beat the 7 at a 39.3 clip. Guys, just pick a 12. Do the right thing. The third tip here, one of the teams that makes it out of the first 4, they're going to most likely advance. So make sure that you pick one of those teams as your upset, since we're sticking with the topic of upsets here, guys. Now, again, with the 1 seed, we have Gonzaga. You want to be careful of Gonzaga. I know it's very common for people to want to go against this team because of what they've seen, and they want to be cute. They want to have that upset. Don't go against Gonzaga. I actually have them going pretty far, have them making it all the way to the final. You have to see my final bracket to see my final selection there. And last but not least, number 5, bet on a number 1 seed. By all means, if you just pick a number 1 seed and they're at least in your final 4, they're at least in the championship game, you're putting yourself in a really good shot. I understand with the brackets, you get more points for having a lower seed go further. Stick with one of the number 1 seeds to get yourself a sure win, guys.
Well, yeah, it's because you get more points for what other people if you pick something that someone else doesn't have, you get more points. One thing I will say about Gonzaga, and I threw my notes on the floor, but this is off the top of my head. Their performance, they are the team this year. It is so damn hard to go against them. But in the last few years in the tournament, they get knocked out
Absolutely
way earlier than they're supposed to. So that's why everyone looks at them and they're just so tempted to go against them this year because, it's like, Gonzaga, they get knocked out. All right, let's delve into the South.
The Deep South.
Number 1 seed, Baylor. What I had to say about Baylor is very simple. I think they're a little bit above their pay grade in this here number 1 seed spot. I don't think they're going to have an issue with the first game, but I think they're a little bit above their pay grade. They're 3-6 in their last 9 games against the spread. There.
I mean, Flagler, and they got all these guys that are going to be in the NBA. Flagler's not even a starter. He's going to be, though. I mean, they got all these guys that create their own shots. Is one-on-one. They can get to the hoop. But, you look, they got beat by Oklahoma State. I mean, they're vulnerable. There's so much talent on that team, though. I mean, they're not losing the first round.
Not the first round.
Guys, I don't like this bracket. I'm looking at this bracket.
You mean this part of the bracket?
This
South?
to the South. I'm sorry. I don't like the South.
Yeah, no, it's the weakest. It's the weakest quarter.
Pathetic. I mean,
It's the weakest quarter.
They could have done a better job. They could have put someone a little bit stronger as a number 1 in this. Ohio State, the number 2.
Who would they have put? Houston? What would they have done?
Very true. Just agree with me there.
You're right.
Listen, Ohio State playing against I Love Oral.
Love Oral. Not in this game.
Yeah.
Love Oral every day, though.
Ohio State did lose to Illinois when Illinois didn't have their best player, or one of their best players.
No, Ohio State didn't have their best player, Kyle Young.
Ah.
Yeah, concussion.
Ohio State, looking at that, they've been eliminated by mid-majors in 4 of the last 5 tournaments they played in. I don't think this is the time. This is a weak part of the bracket. I mean, looking at this, who else is going to come out here? I don't see Arkansas coming out of here.
No,
Purdue.
It could be Purdue, but Ohio State's better than Purdue. I like Ohio State come out of this side of the bracket.
Arkansas, you like Colgate, right, Darren? Live dog in this game?
I like Colgate to cover. I'm not going to say they're going to beat Arkansas.
They played 15 games all year. Is that correct?
Yeah, a lot of cancellations. One loss. Only one loss. I mean, great stat. Team stats are through the roof. What do I have? Look, their efficiency. They're ranked 9th in the country in efficiency. As far as they have the highest assist to turnover ratio in the nation.
So when handicappers do this job, a lot of what they do is they look at the handicapping aspect first, and then afterwards they look at other things like information, line movement, certain things that we work with. We had Arkansas against Alabama this year when Arkansas beat Alabama. You remember the game I'm talking about? So we had Arkansas against it, and people were not. It was a very unpopular choice, but we made the choice. And when I look at Arkansas, it's a very weird thing, but I just keep going back to that game, and I'm like, okay, if they did that, then they can.
Yeah, you saw they lost to LSU.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, it's a good conference. Hey, it's a tough conference.
You guys were talking about the SEC earlier, how it stepped up. Earlier, when we got into LSU, I didn't really chime in. I think I actually have LSU losing to St. Bonnie, but sticking with Arkansas, I actually have them going to the round of 8, losing to Baylor. So strong team coming out of the SEC. I do look forward to them winning a couple games here, stringing along. Like I said, I have them going all the way to the round of 8 here.
I think if they get to the round of 8, they beat Baylor. It's interesting. Like I said, I don't love Baylor, but back to Ohio State, they're like automatic in that Sweet 16.
I would think so.
And then looking at Arkansas, one thing I will say about them, they're playing amazing right now. 8-2 against the spread in the last 10, but
I think they were 8-0 and they lost 2 in a row against the spread. No,
could it have been? It could have been.
So.
It could have been. I just have 8-2 in the last 10 as my stat line. But in their last 12 tournament games, they're 3-9. So their tournament history,
Good.
that to me, what that does is it just elevates that Ohio State coming out of this section of the bracket for me.
Yeah, I mean, I have Ohio State in the Final Four.
Wow, I have them getting stopped actually by Florida in 16. So
Oh wow,
Purdue in this next game, 7-3 in their last 10 tournament games, 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 overall. It is a big spread against North Texas.
yeah. Purdue's tough though, man. You know the size in their front court. Zach Edey is like 7'2", and Trevion Williams is going to the NBA. He'll be a first-round pick.
North Texas is a hot team. They're 8-2 against the spread in their last 10. They won the conference start. They squeaked in, right?
Yeah, they were down like 6 points to Western Kentucky with like 50 seconds to go. They force a lot of turnovers.
But in the tournament of 64, they're 0-3 in their last 3 games. And against major conference teams in their last 4 games, they're 0-4.
I wouldn't pick. I liked them in the tournament until I saw who they got in their draw. So they had Purdue.
Villanova in this next game, if you don't mind. Billy, do you have anything to add to this game?
the past game.
Yeah.
No, we're good there.
Villanova, I just have to get this out there. They don't have Colin Gillespie.
Yeah, Connor Gillespie's out.
But 15-2 in their last 17 tournament games. 2 out of their last 4 tournaments, they've taken the ship. But 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 games this year.
Actually, 4-6-1 in the last 10. So
Yeah, I mean,
actually,
lost
I had to
3 of the
go
last
against
5.
them here.
You have Winthrop?
We got to pick a 12. So I'm going with Winthrop. Nova has been not impressive. That there's no Colin Gillespie. Winthrop's going to out-rebound them. They're going to outplay them. They're going to pick the tempo up. I know that Nova likes to keep it slow. If you're looking at some of the stats, I believe the adjusted tempo, Winthrop's ranking 11th. So I look for them to crash the boards. They're going to get plenty of second-chance points. And frankly, that's going to be enough to get them the W here.
That's a next level stat that you just mentioned there.
Yeah. So when I look at this, I say this also. Winthrop, they don't have a good tournament history, but they are playing hot, like you said, and I think it's a solid 12 pick. It's my second favorite. And I'm looking at.
So one thing where we might differ a little, Ted, I noticed that you put a lot of emphasis onto the past tournament history with these teams. I'm someone that's a pure statistician, so I don't care what these teams have ever done in the past.
What about the coaches, though?
I was about to say, I agree with that in most sports.
The coaching, I agree with the
besides
coaching.
college. So college is a sport where I put more weight on what these coaches do. It's kind of like a theory that you came up with, Billy, a few weeks back, where before the COVID situation happened to them, you thought that, Duke was doing really bad and you were like, ride Duke out rest of the year type of thing. I agree with you. I agree being that statistician of more recent situation is better. But with college, I want to know how these coaches prepare their players for these big situations. And in this tournament, more than anything else, more than college football, more than bowl games in college football, in the tournament of 64, I want to know not only the coaches, but the programs and what they do, because for me, it applies more here than anywhere else.
Now that you said that, I agree with that point.
And even if you don't agree, it's cool, but that's just how I lay it out.
I understand from a coaching standpoint how there's a lot of school history that goes on into things, a lot of buying into just the team program, what they've been doing, and a lot of it really is tradition. Good schools, it's all about tradition and just getting the work done and being selfless. So, you changed my mind a little there. I understand now the relevance of the past performances in the tournament and what the tournament is. The tournament's a completely different animal than even the conference tournament and the regular season play. So,
I still agree. I think Winthrop can take this. I think that Darren agrees also.
I think they're probably the favorite 12 seed for the public, just because of Villanova's downslide in the last couple weeks, losing their best player. And just the line, I mean, 6.5. I mean, it was actually 5.5, and I think it's moving. People are jumping on Nova, I believe.
I agree with you. They are the favorite 12 seed. They're not my favorite 12 seed, but they are the favorite 12 seed. Next is Texas Tech, 6 seed against Utah State.
Texas Tech. That almost
Nexus.
Texas Tech.
Utah State.
This is. I tell you, man. I like the 11. I like the 11s.
I know you do.
They're going to be tough.
Low spread.
Yeah. I feel like this is a trap. They want everyone to take Tech.
Interesting stuff.
I mean, Mac McClung, obviously he's going to be the best player in the game here.
Strong
Utah
defense.
State getting out of this first round.
You have them winning.
Yeah, Utah State. Yep, Utah State beating Texas Tech and Arkansas blowing them
That
out.
kind of coincides with Darren's theory here with those 11s.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got
Interesting.
2 11s, 2 12s.
Very interesting.
I think I have 3 11s. I put I think I've won, Texas Tech 5-0 in their last 5 against that conference though.
Utah State seems to be defensive in boards. Wow. 9th overall against the field goals and the giving up field goal percentage, and they're ranked 7th in rebounds per game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Weak strength of schedule though, weak conference.
I mean, it's such a tough thing. You look at these rebounds per game, points this per game, that per game, and it's like you're looking at the mid-conferences
Not all
versus
conferences are
major
equal.
conferences. Big difference. So that's where, we were talking about earlier, past experience and past stats. I think that they get a little lift in college, and I think that, rebounds per game, points per game, all that stuff as far as college, especially hoops, gets a little bit of a lower because these teams are playing such different strengths of schedule. Next game, 7, Virginia Tech versus UF.
I already know who Billy likes. Billy, tell him. I already saw I saw it, and you already said it.
We're sticking with the SEC, man. I mean, if you look at my bracket, I didn't even realize this until these guys mentioned how strong the SEC has been. Of course, I'm going with Florida here. And I actually have Florida going a little bit deep, losing to Arkansas in the round of 16. But, yeah, we got Florida beating Virginia Tech, sticking with the SEC, sticking with the favorites.
So
Yeah.
Florida has the better shooting,
Yeah.
but
Trey Mann.
Tech has the better defense. Florida commits more turnovers.
A lot more.
Both teams have been crap against the spread lately. Tech 1-4 against the spread in the last 5. Florida 3-8. Where Florida gets it here is the tournament experience.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask Teddy. Ted, I want some stats on Florida's past tournament experience here.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not the same. It's not like, Billy Donovan's still
Billy
the coach.
Donovan was a real gem.
Al Horford ain't playing center, you know what I mean?
Guys.
Joakim Noah.
I'll give Billy his wish. Billy asks, and I comply. Florida's 18-7 in their last 25 tournament games, while Virginia Tech is 2-4 in their last 6. So if you want to base it, listen, the thing is, I like defense in the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
But I like defense for the long run, maybe not necessarily first game. So this is a toss-up game. We're going to move on to the next
I was
one.
going to say, VTech 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 against the SEC. And UF, though, not any better. 4-14 in their last 18 against the spread.
ACC.
Against the ACC. This is really, it's a toss-up. Public is definitely split on this, I see. I mean, the line's at even. It's gone a little back and forth. I might go VTech, honestly.
I just wouldn't touch the game. There's a lot of good games out here like this next one.
Yeah.
I love UNC. I'll just lay it out there for all you guys to hear it. I'm a traditionalist. For anyone who knows me, I'm a traditionalist.
Billy, what does that? Does that mean you're going whiskey?
It pains me to go Wisconsin, to be honest. We didn't do well betting Wisconsin this year, and I told myself I'd stop. I'm probably not going to bet the game.
You sound like an addict.
I want everyone to understand. I know we're talking a lot about how the spreads are influencing what's going on. Just because we're selecting games does not mean that's our final selection of a bet. As Ted mentioned earlier,
Yeah, if you're Billy's customer and he says an opinion, don't say, oh, but you said, no, this is different, guys.
95% of what goes down the day of the game. I could get
Absolutely.
you a million stats, this, that, the other. The stuff on the back end that we're really paying the big money for, seeing the movement, who's moving what when it's happening, patterns that have occurred over multiple, I don't know, what the past like 5 seasons with some of these sources. So that being said, these predictions are for the bracket. Don't put weight on wagers. Don't say, hey, Darren Dimes, Billy the Beard, and Ted Brooks put this out as the bracket. We're going to put $100 in every one of those plays. Guys, this is the bracket. This is not necessarily where we're putting the money. So just keep that in mind while we're continuing to go along with this.
Tournament plays UNC 34-9 in the last 43, but Wisconsin 13-5 in their last 18.
What did I say? Roy Williams hasn't lost in his last 10 opening rounds.
Guys, here's an interesting stat. UNC, and this coincides with Billy's play, UNC is 312th in turnovers.
Jeez.
Wisconsin is number 1. So that can show a Wisconsin win right there. I don't know. I like UNC, but that line, after looking, that stat's scary.
Now do rebounding.
I don't have the numbers, but I know that UNC is much higher in rebounding.
Second in the country.
Yeah, I knew UNC was top rebounding school.
The problem, Whiskey, you look at their conference play, I mean, they really have not beaten anyone good in the conference in like over a month. They were beating all like the bottom feeders like Northwestern, They lost, a lot of close games, but like Iowa and Illinois, they lost every single one.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't take Wisconsin here.
It's just the contrarian play, just doing something against the grain here. I mean, North Carolina has been a team my entire life. I've followed and loved it. So to go against them it's not in my nature. I just needed to pick one spot on this whole board.
Plus, if there's any year to break tradition, it's this year because it's been a crazy year.
Yeah.
You got 2 of the storied teams, Duke and Kentucky, not in the tournament.
My God, that's
for the first time in 30, 40 years. So let's go into the last.
Real quick,
Yeah,
Wisconsin, 1-4 against ACC competition.
I was about to say, neither of those teams play good against the other conference either.
They don't. They do not. And North Carolina 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 against the Big Ten. So, it's going to be pretty much the defense and rebounding of UNC against the efficiency and outside shooting of Whiskey.
So we're going to go into the last section here. I keep calling each section a bracket. Because I'm a little bit tired. I'm not going to lie to you guys. So, guys, before we get into this last one, I want to tell you just a little bit about what we do. We put in this work, and for everybody else out there on YouTube, fishing people, arts people, cooking people, whatever you do on YouTube, these people can make these videos whenever they want. We are stuck to very specific time restraints because of the games and when they go off. So, I have my humble opinion. Our job to deliver this stuff is harder than any other person on here doing this. That's number 1. Number 2, thank you to mainstream media for being such shit. Otherwise, nobody would even watch us. Everyone just watched TV, but no one watches TV anymore because it's all crap. So let's go into the Midwest. I'm going to let someone else start this one off. Illinois is the starter.
Yeah, not much to say about that game. Drexel, 22-point spread. I wouldn't touch Drexel in the bracket, but maybe you want to play a 22-point dog. Right. That's on you. But Illinois is the hottest team in the country right now. They have been for a couple months. I would think they're a lot of people's pick. Besides I'd say other than Gonzaga, they're probably the second.
They were my second, and I kind of moved to Alabama into my second. So it's tough.
Alabama to win.
I like the Alabama though.
Those top 3 are very. Those are 3 great teams. Now I will say Illinois. In their last 5 tournaments, they failed to. It's not the same team, but in their last 5 tournaments, they failed to make the Sweet 16, and they're 2-5 in their last 7 tournament games overall.
Yeah, definitely not the same team. They didn't have Cockburn,
Kofi Cockburn.
Kofi Cockburn. Okay. I love him. Your name's Cockburn. Like, let's come on.
Kofi. The funny thing about his name, when I spill the Kofi on my lap,
that's nice. So the coffee, hey, you get the Cockburn.
We're gonna go to.
Just think of that.
Let's hope they don't edit us. We're gonna go to. No, I was talking about it when I had the. I had them in a game actually. That game that they didn't cover, they won by 3 the championship game, and They're favored by 4. But anyway, let's go to the next game. Houston.
Burnt your
Houston's
cock.
my early exit team. I'm not in love with the team. They're 2-4 in the last 6 tournament games. Yes, they're on fire against the spread lately, but they're my early exit team.
What's his name? He works here. He works for you. Sean. He likes Houston. He said to me before he goes, I just wanted, he goes, I got Houston going real far. I go, all right.
Sean Miller has used. I didn't know that.
That's what he told me. That's what he texted me.
All right.
I got them getting to the round of 8.
Yeah.
You know, I have 2 brackets. They're both very similar. One of them I have them getting to the 8.
I have. I don't. But I don't like.
The Cougs.
So how early do you have Houston exiting?
Yeah, yeah. Who do you have them losing to? Answer us now.
I don't give away too much information, guys. I have 2 guys.
You even remember? I'm
No,
just
I have too many people that
I'm
quote
just
me. I can't give everything exact. All I'm going to say is that I see Houston getting out early in this bracket, and unfortunately, they're not going to go further. They're going to play each other, I believe, in the Sweet 16, but Oklahoma State and Illinois are my 2 favorite teams in this bracket.
Yeah, makes sense.
By far. And whoever wins that game, I think, is coming out of it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you think, well, again, but to beat them in the bottom part of the bracket, you would have to be taking like West Virginia, which we're going to get to next.
We will. They're a good team.
Great team. Huggy Bear.
Now, interesting about them, in the Sweet 16, in the last 4, they've been eliminated in 3. So
They usually get that far,
they're
though.
making it to the Sweet 16. Exactly.
Bob Huggins.
Yeah, I have
Bob,
them getting to the 16.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. In the
Yes.
last 4 tournaments, they've made it to the Sweet 16, eliminated in 3 out of those 4. 0-4 against the spread in the last 4 overall games also. So, seems like you have two sections of this bracket that are much
That are
better
stronger,
than
yeah.
the 2 others.
That's how the draw happened.
I guess so.
Selection Sunday. Yeah, I mean, gotta.
Guys, I want to back up for a
I
second.
like West Virginia is going to crush Morehead State. I mean,
You guys asked me who was going to be Houston, right? I'm not going to pick a 15 over a 2. But Cleveland State 3-0 in their last 3 tournament games against a 6th seed or lower, which means 6-5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
yeah. Well,
2-0 in their last 2 tournament openers. And 8-3 against the spread in their last 11.
look, hey,
Cleveland
it's
State.
I'm
a
not
lot of
saying.
points.
Listen, guys, I'm not saying that I have Cleveland State
Sounds
beating
like
Houston.
you said that. You guys heard it first. He
But
said
I
it.
just have some crazy stats here. I don't know.
look.
I don't know.
Just
We'll
like
circle back around
Billy
to
the
that later.
Beard said.
Circle back, Billy Saki.
Billy said this season you can't compare to past seasons. Look, Cleveland State this year against tournament teams? What did they do against Ohio Bobcats beginning of the season? Would they lose by 55?
I think Ohio's an underrated team.
They
I don't
are an
think-
underrated team.
But that's besides the point. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I mean, the Horizon Conference is not. You know,
I'm the past tournaments guy in this
Oakland,
sit down here.
Detroit. You know, like what? You know.
I think
No,
I've
but
made. I
tournament
think
play
I've made
has
it clear.
weight. I'm starting to buy into that. I believe
I'm
the
slowly
tournament-
sucking Billy into my tournament play theory.
Oh,
And
look,
I mean, defense, like you said earlier. I mean, everyone knows defense wins championships.
So basically, I entered into this. I was looking at everything, and I said, you know what? I'm going to look at something that no one else is looking at. It's going to be tournament play. So that's what I'm looking at.
well, you guys are talking about sucking each other up. Look, the only thing I'm going to say in your defense, besides that Ohio game, they played Ohio State this year, lost by 6 points on the road. Cleveland State did.
It's not bad.
Second
Okay.
or third game of the season. Toledo, they lost by 9 on the road.
All right. Well, back to the West Virginia Morehead State game. I don't think any of
Morehead. I love Oral and I love Morehead.
YouTube's going to shut this video
They're
down.
schools. They're colleges. What am I supposed to do? Oral Roberts, Morehead State.
I don't see Morehead touching West Virginia. I
No,
don't even
West
think we
Virginia's
talk
gonna
about
mop
that
'em.
game. Move on to Oklahoma State, who I love. Oklahoma State beat Texas Tech, West Virginia twice, Oklahoma twice. Like I said, I think this team has a chance to pull off a crazy upset, facing Illinois in the Sweet 16 and potentially beating them. If anyone can do it, they could do it. Who knows?
Yeah. You don't think that spread, though, for this game's a little light? 7.5?
What's that? 7.5?
Yeah, I think it's light.
I know you like Liberty, Liberty, Liberty.
That's so catchy.
It's like what are they? A car insurance company.
man.
Yeah.
So what is Liberty? You got some stats on them, right?
I mean, they had some impressive
Good
wins this year.
performance.
Yeah, they beat South Carolina. They beat Mississippi State at the beginning of the year. They had some other out-of-conference games that they lost. Purdue lost by 13. But, I mean, they've played some teams. They've played some tournament teams here. They can hold their own. I think 7.5 is a light number, and I would expect them to cover that with that. That just seems like a trap.
As you guys know who watch the stories and all that stuff, we had Texas beating Oklahoma State in that championship game. So you know that we were very heavily looking into these teams, and we just like Oklahoma State in this one. So, but
Yeah, too much talent.
Darren has the upset. I mean, not the upset. I'm sorry, the cover.
I think Liberty
Cover
covers.
of the underdog
If I can get it at 8,
situation.
I'll take it at 8 because I can't imagine people not backing Oklahoma State here.
Very cool game coming up here. Oregon State versus Tennessee. You got a team that almost won their conference. Where they make it to the last
What, Tennessee?
semifinals?
Tennessee? you mean?
Yeah.
No, quarters. Didn't UF beat them in the quarters?
Yes, you're right.
And then lost to.
So 5-1 against the spread in their last 6.
Yeah.
Oregon State 10-1 against the spread in the last 11.
Oregon State is like the Georgetown of this quarter of the bracket. Right? Well, they're at 12.
I agree with you.
They're at 12. They won their conference tournament. They shouldn't have. They were projected to go last in the tournament. They proved their point. They won it. I don't think they, even without Fulkerson, Tennessee's best player. I haven't seen if he's going to play. I know he had a concussion when Omar Payne of the UF Gators elbowed him right in the freaking temple, and he left the game. He didn't play the next one. They got bounced out of the conference tournament. They haven't said if he's playing, so I would still take Tennessee here.
I like I like Oregon State here. I mean, this is one of my 12s over 5s. Some of my selections I don't like to give out all of them, but this one I give out. This is one of my 12 over 5s. I actually like this one better than the Winthrop play. The free game was Colorado. I was looking closely at that game. Oregon State's a hell of a team. I watched them play. Colorado's a very good team. So just so you guys understand, as Darren was saying, I follow those West Coast schools because I like to play the later games on the free games, and we have to keep a close eye on them. And then there's the last game on, so we're always watching them regardless. Mm-hmm. Colorado's a tough team. Oregon State beat them, so I have faith. I just have faith in them. I have faith in them. Yeah, but the SEC is also amazing, so it's tough.
It's no shock here, though, Teddy. I pulled up a stat.
He's on Tennessee. You just look at him.
I'm on Tennessee. I'm sticking with the SEC. All of a sudden, I've hated the SEC my whole life. Now I'm back in the SEC.
They're incredible this year.
Now, Ted, I knew you were going to pick that squad. I'm looking here. The Volunteers are 0-4 in their last 4 tournament games as a favorite. And, that was the last 4 times they've had tournament games.
Are you saying against the spread?
Against the spread, they're 0-4.
So I didn't even know that, Billy, and I appreciate that. So the only tournament stat that I have on Tennessee is 6-3 in their last game straight up. So I didn't even know that. So maybe you all only just added fuel to my fire. You added fuel
You're burning
to my
up. You're burning up over
Oregon
there.
State Beavers. They're the Beavers, right?
You got a hot beaver over there. We're definitely getting Dan here. I'm talking about Moorhead and Beavers. All
right, let's keep rolling through this.
I just want to say, Ethan Thompson. Oh, we're going over time.
No,
Ethan Thompson, guard, experienced guard, leads the Beavers. They only average 12 turnovers a game on offense. Very efficient. What are you going to say?
We only have a couple games left.
Yeah,
and we're heading into one of my favorites. So
I feel like you say every game is your favorite. Doesn't he?
I have like one favorite.
Kansas is my favorite.
I never say Kansas.
This is my,
no,
whatever.
No Kansas.
You're a Jayhawk.
I love Alabama.
You do.
Bama, we know.
No, he said other ones too, though.
I love the SEC.
Both of you guys.
Clemson versus Rutgers, 7 versus 10. Clemson. Now just listen to this. I love Alabama. Clemson beat Bama.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson beat Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson beat Maryland and beat Mississippi State. I don't have much info on Rutgers, so I'm going to rely on Darren for that.
Rutgers, free throw shooting, big problem. Shoots, I think, like 312 free throw shooting percentage in the country, which is a big issue when you're only shooting freaking 59% from the charity stripe. They don't turn the ball over much. I think they're ranked around like 53rd in the country turnovers per game, which is solid. They don't shoot particularly well. I mean, they play solid D. They're an athletic team. But again, super tough conference, the best. But, you know, they started off hot. If you look at their schedule, they started off hot with some nice wins, just like Clemson. All those wins that Ted just said, those were all at the beginning of the year. And they kind of tailed off, you know, because let's just be honest, they're a weaker team in their division. I mean, their conference, sorry. So, but they, you know, they went 2-1 straight up against Purdue, beat Maryland. They beat Q's. So, you know, they've played other ACC teams this year. You know?
Yeah, and touching on Clemson a little, I know you mentioned something about their turnovers. It's funny because I actually have a note. For some reason in my notes, I have turnovers being a deciding factor in this game.
They will be.
Looking at some of the things here, you know, Rutgers is a lot better than advertised. If you look at their record, it's not doing this team the justice. I've made money for myself and my guys with this team throughout the season, so I can attest to that firsthand. Looking at some ATS records, Clemson's 1-5 in their last 6 when they've been a dog. So
1-5 in their last 6.
All my Jersey guys, you feel the pain. When Rutgers, you can't bet them. You can't bet them if you live in Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
If you're betting with like FanDuel or DraftKings.
You can bet, but not on Jersey teams.
Right. So whatever state, if you're
So
playing on one of the
stupid.
legal books, whatever
Yeah.
state you're in, you could bet, and it's just college, not pro, but not that Jersey has pro. Oh, they have the
What's
Devils.
funny, I was talking to someone today, and they're in Missouri, and they can't bet. They have to cross the state line to go bet for the tournament on Mizzou.
Wow.
Yeah.
I believe it. So the next game and the last game that we're going to be breaking down is...
Well, did we skip one? You
Did
skipped one, Bubba.
we skip.
You're skipping these.
Syracuse,
You're skipping
number
the
6,
6
San
seeds.
Diego.
You left out the number 6 seed on a couple.
Go for it. You're the 11 over 6.
What do you have against the 6 seeds?
San Diego State.
The 666. I don't like
He's
the
a-
mark of the
he's a-
beast,
doesn't
man. I
like
stay
it,
away
yeah.
from the
Ted
number
is
6.
a very pious individual, very religious.
This is my 11 beating the 6 right here. I got Syracuse taking them down.
Very spiritual
a lot
guy
of
for
people.
for a better.
You are. A lot of people actually here have Q's winning. Look, a lot of people don't know San Diego State. They've never seen them. Everybody knows Q's.
Everybody does know him, and I know him, and I know they've been playing like doo-doo this year. I mean, all the
Q's.
good teams have been playing.
You know, they did well in the tournament.
They have
though.
I was about
Buddy-
to say they had a good close. They
Yeah, good
started
close.
off bad, and they closed strong.
Jim Boeheim's son, Buddy Boeheim, was wet from 3 the whole tournament. I mean, but they score a lot more points on the road actually than at home, but they also give up a lot of points. You know, they're a middle of the road team in the ACC. You know, San Diego, excluding their 2 losses to Utah State, back-to-back losses. I mean, they were almost perfect otherwise.
I have nothing to say about this game because it's not on my list. I don't talk about 6 teams.
Yeah. I just had to
Apparently
pick an
not.
11 to stick with the formula. I got to have 2 11s, 2 12s, nice and clean. Make sure we keep all the ones in there.
So, Billy, are you telling these people to just do that formula? Is that like just a formula you're giving them, or just run with 2 11s, 2 12s?
It's a good template to get them pretty far in the bracket. Yeah.
Okay. Guys, you're getting quality information here. I want to talk about this last game so bad. Can we just go to this game?
Yeah,
And,
oh yeah.
and Darren, we talked about this game before this broadcast, and you
Yeah.
told me you love this game too.
I love it.
What's the name of the sweet little woman who reminds me of my grandmother, who's
Sister Jean.
Sister Jean?
She'll be there.
Good old Catholic lady.
That's right.
Reminds me of my grandma. Rest in
Is
peace.
your grandma nun?
No, but she was very Catholic, very religious Catholic. I actually went. Yeah, her name was Patricia. Passed away on St. Patrick's Day. Shout out.
It's literally today.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Born on St. Patrick's
Oh,
Day.
okay. All right.
Few
Still
too many
today.
beverages.
Still today.
So,
Happy birthday,
guys,
Patricia.
this nun has carried Loyola Chicago very far.
They got to the Final Four that year.
Final Four a couple years back. I think it was 2017, something like that.
17, 18? Yeah.
Regardless,
Last 4 years.
let me give you some numbers on Loyola Chicago. 6-2 in their last 8, 3-1 against the spread on neutral ground. Georgia Tech, 2-4 in tournament games. Yeah, they've been hot lately. They've been hot, but I don't think
Alvarado, and you watched against FSU in the tournament, the conference tournament, the final. I mean, he how many steals did he have? You know, he was
out of his mind that game.
He was a beast.
That was actually the deciding factor. I mean,
presented
some good.
skills.
Loyola's been a good team all year. Again, team that I've ridden a few times, made some bucks here and there.
Did you pick them over Drake? Because you love Drake.
I didn't even bet on that. I didn't
during the season.
Didn't look. But this is a tough one. So I understand why. I mean, the Alvarado factor is why I chose Georgia Tech. I don't have them getting past this next round, but I have them getting out of the first. But there's a lot of good points about Loyola being brought up. So
who do you have, Darren?
I like Loyola. My guy Krutwig. You know about Krutwig?
I don't.
Oh man, he's got a great mustache. You got to check it out. It's a very, it's like a creepy kind of mustache.
I know what you mean, like the molester mustache.
Yeah, he's a molester. Yeah,
he's not a molester, guys.
No, he's an excellent center. Great footwork, great passer, great vision. But you know the offense runs through him for Loyola. And you look at Georgia Tech. I mean, they are very vulnerable to big men. If you just look at their season this year, I mean, they were getting if FSU, as I said, if Raekwon Gray doesn't get into foul trouble early, I mean, Capricia, or however you pronounce his name, he was balling against them. His hand was hurt and he was killing them. You know, they just kept shooting themselves in the foot.
I'm going to go a little bit broader here. I want to talk about something that Billy was talking about earlier, coming to the day of the game, all the information that comes into the game. We just laid out like an hour and a half of solid info for you guys, but it's still not enough, in my opinion, to make the maximum amount of money that you could make betting all of these games or betting the right games. So if you're a smaller player who likes to really spread the board and get a lot of good quality selections, maybe even throw them in a little parlay action, this guy right here will give you 5 teams in a day that are going to go 5-0. I mean, he'll do it.
Usually have a nice little number of plays there.
If you're just looking for one play that you can slam a bunch of money on, give us a call here at the Sports Profits. We'll help you out with that. But listen, here's the thing. No matter what you do, don't be the short attention span guy who watches the first 5 minutes of the video or scrolls through trying to find predictions just to bet. Try to, because you could pay for all this stuff, but if you can sit here and watch us and how we break this down, how we talk about it, we're going to do more in the future in more comfortable settings where it's not late at night after the day, where you could just see us watch and break down and maybe even do it live. I don't know yet. I'm going to bring some cool things coming in the next year, but we are going to just talk these games in ways that these guys on ESPN and Fox Sports and all these other stations are not talking about these games. Because let me tell you something. These guys have never bet a damn game in their life, half of them.
Sure.
Most athletes do not bet. Michael Jordan is the exception. Gotta love Mike.
Pete Rose.
Pete Rose. So these guys, first of all, the players that bet, they're all my favorite players, obviously. But these players that are on TV now, and all of these people, I turn on these sports stations and I look, these people went to college, they got a communications degree, They know sports. They probably get, stacks of paper to study, and they're good at retaining and regurgitating information, but they have never put their whole life on the line and bet sports to make their living, to feed their families. And we just lost our free game for the day. We had St. Mary's money line. And with that, I hope you guys listen to what I just said, because out of this whole thing, that last thing could have been the most important thing. Darren, you're a little bit newer. You've been making money betting sports for a long time, but you're a little bit newer delivering the information to the people. And I think that you agree, and I think that's what motivated you to do it more recently than myself, was what you're seeing out there is just all crap.
Are we talking about other cappers? Or are we talking about
not even cappers.
commentators?
I never like to put down other cappers. I'm just talking about what's on TV.
Oh my God. I mean, I watch these games and I don't think the commentators, the announcers even know who the players are. if they didn't have people handing them sheets, I don't even. They still get it wrong half the time. I'm correcting them.
You're correcting me too. Yeah, so I don't keep track with players' names. I have an issue with remembering good players' names or remembering all players' names. But when it comes to just take the players out of it, because I almost feel like they're almost more too player centric, if that makes sense, where they know the players more than they understand what's going to happen in the game.
Well, there's guys obviously like Bill Walton, who's obviously on a lot of drugs, but he's hilarious. He's amazing. Very knowledgeable in basketball. I mean, Tony Romo, football is brilliant. When Van Gundy was not a coach, he was excellent.
Tony Romo's a perfect example. He can read.
He literally tells you exactly what's going to happen or what should happen. And when it doesn't happen, he's wrong and he should have been right. You know what I mean? Like, the coach was wrong who actually
So that's good in play, but they have nobody that bets sports that can talk about sports in a betting scope or a betting view.
I mean, they're just putting together all the data that's already out there that everyone has. And obviously there's an agenda behind it. They're swaying people. As you mention all the time, they know the players, they know the stats, they know all that, but they don't understand what goes into the psychology of making a line. They don't know the movement. And they're really doing a disservice to the community. And the worst thing about it, Ted, is that everyone is looking up to these guys. Yeah. They're professionals. They're on the TV. They have all the accolades. They might have hardware on their fingers. But at the end of the day, they know nothing about
they've been hitting the head a bunch more times than we have, too.
Here's
they
the
got
funniest
those rings,
thing. These guys, right, they get paid millions of dollars to go out there and talk about sports. And a lot of times, especially in football, they'll do these like every day. They'll do predictions every week. And you look at the end of the year, and they show their predictions. These guys, 30%, 25%,
oh, yeah.
35%, 40%.
CBS sports writers, like, they literally, I'm not going to name, but, like, official, like football picks against the spread, they maybe go 45%.
45%. Do you understand?
I think they're plants, though. I think they give their picks so you take the same pick and
I get
lose.
it, but here's my point to all of you viewers out there.
We all lost together.
35%, and people, because we're not famous,
right? They trust
people
them.
Call us scams if we lose one game or if we go 60% instead of 65% like we expect to, or if we go 65 in baseball, we expect to go 70% because of the lines, because of the juice, 72. If we go 65 instead of 70, they call us names, and it's just, I have to get it off my chest. These guys are terrible. Terrible, terrible. We will deliver better predictions every single day of the week. I'm not telling ESPN to hire us because I wouldn't want to work for them.
No, I'll never work for anyone again. I don't care if ESPN's hiring.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you really watched this whole thing. If you're still with us now, you're almost probably 2 hours deep into
balls deep.
Let's call it wrist deep. Into some really good footage. And
DM wrist deep to Teddy, and he might give you a free week with us.
So, guys, Billy the Beard, you could check him out, but if you're checking it, you don't have to go both. But Darren Dimes, check him out. I'm going to put his link everywhere, all over my stuff.
Thank you, Ted. Billy?
And I'll see you guys later. I'll see you guys next year for more March Madness, but we are going to bring this little group back. We're trying to think of what type of podcast we want to bring you guys. We don't want to oversaturate you guys with us. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know what you think we should bring you guys.
Baseball preview. Gonna have to do
we'll do a baseball preview.
Is that March 1st or April 1st?
April
like 2 weeks.
1st. There's 15
2 weeks.
MLB games. Billy's going to be at the Marlins game doing a little footage for us maybe.
Billy the Marlin? Billy the Marlin. Don't tell him.
He's really the mascot, guys. All right, guys, we'll see you next year.
Next year?
Yeah, what?
It's not what you know, Ted. It's who you know.
Well, for March Madness, we'll see them next year. Only one March Madness here.
This is true.